Hey, welcome back to the JKMoto Entertainment channel. Welcome back once again to Stable B, our favorite place. Today, we are working once again on our 2000 whatever year model Yamaha R6. So we just got done, we unlowered it, we got it back to relatively close to stock height at least. We unstretched it, so it's back to stock configuration as far as like geometry and everything else goes. So now we gotta get it back to stock configuration as far as being able to cool itself off. And then we can dive into the electrical issues. So I was given this bike to work on and try and figure out why the battery wasn't charging. I'm assuming that's gonna be a stator, but we have to let the bike run long enough to actually get a feel and see and test the different components electrically. And as soon as I turned the bike on, it was overheating. So I shut it off, looked into a couple things, and turns out there was no radiator fluid. So I filled up the radiator, turned the bike on, everything seemed pretty good, let it run for a few minutes, and coolant started leaking out of the front of the radiator and the connections on the bottom and everything else. So we got a new fancy all aluminum radiator here that we're gonna put in, and then we'll fill it up with coolant, and then we'll start the bike and verify that she is not leaking any coolant anymore and staying cool, and then we'll be able to move on to the troubleshooting. We might combine those into one video, it depends on how long this radiator takes, but radiator getting in and getting this thing running without overheating is the main goal for today. So let's go ahead and get into it. Before we do, I gotta ask once again, set that down nicely so it doesn't break. It's brand new, it's so pretty. Gotta ask once again that you please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and throw a like on the video. If you have any questions, comments, or you have any experience with these Yamaha R6s that I do not, because this is the first time I messed with one of these things, and I spent a few weeks waiting for a part to come in because I didn't realize you needed that part because I thought they were just built like all the other bikes. They're a little bit different. If you have any experience with these bikes and I'm missing something as we go throughout, please leave that down in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it, but let's go ahead and get this radiator replaced and see if we can't keep this bike cool. All right, so first step up, we're gonna remove these two bolts here, which is some extra stuff on the outside of the radiator. And we're gonna do the same thing on the other side where the coolant expansion tank is. This is the regulator rectifier. So we're essentially just gonna get everything unbolted from the radiator that isn't the radiator itself. Hang on, let me make sure I'm not being ridiculous here. Yep, and then the radiator should unbolt from up here, I think. Yeah, this is just a plastic piece on the outside. So we're gonna go ahead and get that removed. While I have this here, we're gonna go ahead and put this on a front stand. So hopefully it's a little bit more steady. Just look like 10s. What do we think? What are the odds? Perfect. That's our regulator rectifier mount. We'll throw all of this tonight in our stool so that it stays off nice and easy. Okay, now this should all be also connected up to this bracket here, which we can also remove and get kind of just out of our way. But it broke off of this bracket up here in what looks like maybe a couple different spots. But we're still gonna pull that out and out of our way so we just don't have to worry about it. Set this back here. Really wish that that was a plug that could be disconnected, which I think it probably was back in the day and just isn't anymore. Who knows what it is now? Looks like something for a bunch of LED stuff. Gotta love when people mess with the bikes. So we'll try and kind of shove this up in here. Maybe help keep it out of the way up there a little bit. Yep, I'm gonna head to the other side, pull the expansion tank off real quick. Okay. Let's see. The next thing we're gonna do, and this is gonna sound a little interesting. I've got this here because I had a little bit of coolant leaking, but I'm actually gonna remove this little hose right here and hope that that's the lowest spot on the radiator, which it sure looks like it. So once I remove that, should get some coolant leaking out, but that should be all of our coolant that's in the radiator. And now, who knows how much is actually left in the system. We'll make sure it's nice and topped off before we move on, but I'm kind of hoping we can keep some in the system and only lose whatever is still left in the radiator itself. So, we'll see. What we're gonna do now, apply just a little bit of pressure to the outside of this hose. Just teeniest bit with pliers. I don't like using pliers on them, but a lot of times these things are old. I'd rather use the pliers on the outside than the inside. That's kind of weird because that whole thing seemed like it wanted to squeeze and become a different size. Okay, and then while that's draining, I'm gonna remove, I already pulled the bolt off the bottom. I'm gonna remove the bolt off the top. And then I think the fan should stay connected. We'll just have to disconnect the plug, which is right here. It's for this side. I assume that's for both sides. Fan plug unplugged. I'll start removing. Also, we're gonna have to get a different bolt because this thing on the top is not connected with the right. I don't think it's supposed to be an Allen key in there, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. So we'll remove this Allen. It's gonna be a 5, not a 4. Okay. I don't think you guys need to watch coolant drain. All right. So now back in here, right here. Hopefully you guys can see that back there. That's our last mounting bolt. I already took the one off the other side. It was a weird kind of Allen key. And I already took the one off the bottom. Down here, right there. That connects to your kind of exhaust bracket. So you can see this thing is barely hanging on. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this other one on the top. And then that should be ready to come down and out. We'll see what else is connected to it that I didn't know about or forgot about somehow. Shouldn't be a whole lot. Still kind of hanging out here. All right. So now, like I said, the fan's already disconnected. I'll shove all this stuff up here kind of out of the way. Hope that, no, that's definitely, that's it. I just gotta get this last hose off of here, which is probably gonna be a little bit of a pain, and then it'll be ready to go. So sometimes with these hoses, I think I said it over there, you gotta be a little careful, but you wanna just try and, you gotta break their seal. So just like that, we're gonna just rotate, and then that hose should slip off of there much easier now, hopefully, if we have enough room. The other option is I can take it off the, we'll do that too, remove this hose clamp. So you might wanna come off the bottom or the other hose a little easier. Keep that one over there. Actually, we'll just move them both over there. Let's see if that thing wants to rotate off of there any more than it wanted to off of the radiator. Doesn't really look like it. So it's kind of plenty happy just hanging out. Have to do some pulling. There we go. Now should be, oh, we got one more fan cord, so there's 2 separate ones. That's kind of interesting. Did also forget I still had my coolant hose over here attached. Should be not that tight, but doesn't want to get over that. There we go. Okay, and then it looks like we have a radiator, an old beat up piece of junk one. Okay, I was supposed to show you guys me moving all this stuff over, but I just moved the fans over. It's pretty simple. You can see them on this one. You can see them over here now. Pretty clear. You got a bolt, 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 bolt. It's 3 per. Nice and simple. We had to bend the mounting bracket right here just a little bit to get it to go, but other than that, we're good. You can also see that kind of opened up a spot of JB weld on the old radiator right here. Kind of clear that that old radiator was not being taken care of like it should have been. So we're now going to pull these 2 automotive clips out to pull these plastic pieces off, get them transferred over, and then we can mount the new radiator up and in. So there's one clip and some foam. That thing should go right there, I'm assuming. We'll just kind of let that be wherever it wants to be. Okay, there's one clip. Pull the next one. Where'd it go? There it is. We'll move this plastic piece over after I get 2 more. Oh, these ones aren't the clips. Just gotta pull them out. Oh, and I guess I need the old rubber from it too. All the old rubber. That's gonna be good because that is not in the best shape. That'll be okay. We'll get through it. Oh, I don't know what the camera's seeing and not seeing. So these rubber pieces, we got a few of them actually total, but they gotta come out with us so that everything sits in here nicely. So it's gonna be kind of a fun time. I'll probably use a pick and a flathead screwdriver a little bit. Get our skinniest flathead, just a little baby guy, and see if we can't get him pulled through. There's one there. I want to say, I don't actually remember at all which way that's gonna go. Fold it up again, stuff it half through. This one's a little broken, it'll still work. I think that's gonna go that way. We're gonna do the same thing over here. Kind of just pull it through. That one's less broken, but also a little broken. That piece through. Now we'll get these two little bottom ones. And those things are kind of caked in there. Bad. All right. There's one. All right. I think that's a... Oh, we gotta do the bottom still. Then we'll be done. That will be everything off of the old radiator at that point. Let's see. We just gotta get this guy put in right here. Nice and simple. One, two, and then we're gonna go hang this thing up with our two bolts on the front. We should be ready to go. One of those bolts is gonna be incorrect if I remember right. Now, if we remember correctly, I think this bolt mounts this thing right here. And bring this up in here. Take this cap off. Verify we have both of our coolant hoses available over here. Move all of these plastic things just ever so slightly out of the way. Put the hose on. Okay. Then get it angled relatively correctly. Okay, I'm going to attempt the other side real quick. Got a radiator on that side. What this thing arguably needs is maybe just a little more bending and whatnot. Hopefully not so much. It just needs to be brought up into place, which is extremely close to in place. So we're gonna see if we can't just kind of scoot it up a little bit. I might try and bend this bracket out just the teeniest bit more. Alright, so I got everything all mounted up. Camera was overheating a little bit, but we just had a couple things to put back on. So we put our suspension tank back on and put the electronic stuff back on the other side. Now we're gonna go ahead and fill this system up. Cap off. Funnel not gonna fit. Have our long skinny funnel. Good to go. Add some coolant. And then add some more. Luckily, the motorcycle systems are nice and small. So usually you're okay there. And it looks like we're pretty much good. So now we gotta fire it up and see how it does. Yeah, I'm not seeing much drop right there. So, good. We'll stick this lid back on. We'll start it. Poor battery. Lucky for this battery. We're pretty used to relatively dead batteries around here. Waiting. I don't think you can see it, but the temperature's down in there. We're gonna give it a minute to warm up. See how it does. Alright, we're up to 124. It does run great, gotta say. We'll let it keep warming up. Looking for like 200. Sorry, it's a little loud. There's a bike right here. But what we're looking for is get up to like 225 or so on the temperature right there to get this thing's fan to turn on. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna go ride it right now because, well, then you'd have air across the radiator. And so I don't know if it would actually work or not. But the fan hasn't come on yet. The temperature's already kind of going up and down. So I'm partial to say that this thing's working. The other thing I'm going to take a look at is the fact that I don't have any coolant leaking out of the radiator actively like I did when I first started this mess. So we're going to keep watching that temperature, keep letting this go for a little bit. While we're doing that, I said I would work a little bit on the troubleshooting the electrical, so I'm going to pop you guys back here so you can watch me do that, and I'll keep you updated on the temperature. What I was told is that this battery wasn't charging. What that means is that either your stator or your regulator rectifier is not working. So on a motorcycle you have a stator down in the engine that spins. It's way down there, and that gives off AC power, which that AC power then goes to regulator rectifier and gets regulated down to the right voltage and rectified to DC power like you want. You want DC power. So then that gets sent to your battery, and your battery gets charged up, and you're good to go, and the bike still runs. The owner said that this thing would shut off on him randomly, and then the battery would be dead after that, which means that that battery's not charging. So I've got a multimeter here, which hopefully you guys can kind of see what I'm going to get here. Oh, now that's different. Okay, so we do have issues. I looked at this a few minutes ago and it was showing me 13.8, period, like no issues. But now it's showing me 9.7, 9.6. So it is going down in voltage, which is kind of a good thing for me. 9.5. Because that means that in fact it is losing voltage, which means the battery is what's running this thing, not the stator or the regulator rectifier. Perfect. Hey, real quick before the battery dies, we're going to call that the end of this episode. We got the radiator replaced, we got all the coolant put back in, everything seems to be working great. Bike cools itself. Did a little bit of electrical troubleshooting, just a teeny bit, but I got to do a little bit more of that. We're going to actually charge this battery, so we have a nice full battery to start with, and then we'll kind of see what kind of stuff we'd get in the next episode. And in the meantime, I'm going to do a little bit of research so we can do some good electrical troubleshooting and actually show you guys how to do that a little bit, because I'm like, I'm going to replace both the parts that I think are causing the issue, and hopefully it's one of them. And usually it is, but you never know exactly what it actually is. So we're going to try and do a little better about that, but that'll be in the next episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Got that radiator replaced. Bike seems to be cooling just great. That's good. That's what we needed. No more leaking coolant, which is awesome. And that's it. Once again, please subscribe, leave some comments, like the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.